Good evening. The Philippine Coast Guard says the commercial ship that allegedly rammed a Filipino fishing boat, leading to the death of 3 Zambales fishermen, was registered under the flag of the Marshall Islands, an island country in the Pacific. According to the PCG, Pacific Ana, a crude oil tanker vessel registered under the flag of Marshall Islands, aligns with the surviving fishermen's accounts. The PCG says it would reach out to the Marshall Islands authorities and the next port to be visited by the said crude oil tanker ship as part of the investigation. A crew member of FFB Dirin says the incident allegedly involving Pacific Ana occurred at around 4:20 a.m. on Monday. The fisher's mother boat was moored 85 nautical miles northwest of Scarborough Shoal or 180 nautical miles from Agno, Pangasinan. According to PCG, due to adverse weather conditions causing darkness, the crew on board the mother boat failed to detect an unidentified vessel approaching. This resulted in a collision that caused the mother boat to capsize and led to the death of 3 fishermen, including the boat captain. Maritime traffic data from PCG shows that Pacific Ana passed over the position of the Filipino fishing vessel. Meanwhile, 11 crew members survived the maritime incident. President Bongbong Marcos says he was deeply saddened by the incident and assures that those responsible would be held accountable. Pag-asa says Typhoon Jenny slightly intensified as it approaches southern Taiwan, while parts of Northern Luzon are still under tropical cyclone wind signals. In its 5 p.m. bulletin, Pag-asa says it last spotted Jenny 155 kilometers north-northeast of Itbayat, Batanes. It packs maximum sustained winds of 155 kilometers per hour and gustiness of up to 190 kilometers per hour. Signal number 3 remains over Itbayat, Batanes, while signal number 2 is raised over the rest of Batanes and the northern portion of Babuyan Islands. The rest of Babuyan Islands, the northern portion of mainland Cagayan, the northern portion of Apayal, and the northern portion of Ilocos Norte are under signal number 1. The State Weather Bureau says Typhoon Jenny continues to enhance the southwest monsoon or habagat, bringing rains over central Luzon, southern Luzon, and Visayas. Jenny is forecast to exit the Philippine area of responsibility Thursday afternoon or evening. President Bongbong Marcos says his lower approval ratings did not come as a surprise to him. Pulse Asia's Ulat ng Bayan survey shows Marcos and Vice President Sara Duterte received their first double-digit declines in approval and trust scores. In an ambush interview in Taguig City, Marcos says he understands the lower ratings as people are suffering amid high prices.
It's not surprising. People are having a hard time. Because yung hirap na bigas ito eh. Ibang usapan pag bigas. It's different from anything else any other agricultural product. I completely understand it.
The president emphasizes that people cannot be blamed as they are grappling with poverty. According to Marcos, the results of the survey don't matter to him. He adds that what was important was to make sure that the public had something to eat.
And that's why we're working very, very hard to make sure that this comes up again. Not because of the survey, that's not important to me. What's important to me is that we make sure that people have enough to eat and that it is affordable to them.
The Commission on Elections says it had furnished the U.S. government with documents amid the money laundering and bribery charges against former chairman Andres Bautista. In a television interview, Comelec Chair George Garcia says the poll body assisted the U.S. government after it asked for some documents and even interviews with certain people from the Commission. Garcia explains they cooperated with the U.S. government because they wanted to be transparent as far as possible and seek the truth. Despite this, Garcia says the Comelec remains oblivious to the details of the case itself, including where the U.S. government is basing its testimonies against Bautista and where affidavits against him came from. He asks the U.S. government to provide the Comelec with information so as not to keep the body in the dark about the case. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security had charged Bautista with money laundering, conspiracy, and bribery in connection with the Comelec's contract with Smartmatic. Bautista on his social media denied ever receiving a bribe and added that he was surprised by the charges as he was not contacted before being informed of the complaint. Police say a case will be filed against the teacher allegedly involved in the death of a grade 5 pupil in Antipolo City, depending on the autopsy result. Grade 5 pupil Francis J. Gumikib died days after his teacher reportedly slapped him on September 20. Antipolo City Police Chief Lieutenant Colonel Ryan Manongdo says that if proven that the teacher caused the death of the victim, a complaint would be filed against her for homicide in relation to Republic Act 7610 or the Special Protection of Children Against Abuse, Exploitation, and Discrimination Act. Otherwise, if the death has no connection with the teacher's action, Manongdo says physical injury in relation to the mentioned law would instead be filed. Meanwhile, the victim's mother, Elena Mingoy, says they are certain to file a case against the teacher once the autopsy result of her child becomes available. According to Mingoy, they decided to have their son undergo an autopsy to find out what actually led to his death. Philippine National Police Forensic Group Public Information Office Chief Major Sotero Rodrigo Jr. says the autopsy will determine the victim's cause of death as well as whether the injuries were newly acquired or not. PCG says a magnitude 5.7 earthquake struck near Cagayan, Cagayan Wednesday morning. According to state meteorologists, the tremor occurred 17 kilometers northeast of Dalupiri Island in Calayan, Cagayan at 11:35 a.m. on Wednesday. PCG says the quake had a depth of 17 kilometers and was tectonic in origin. According to PCG, intensity 5 was recorded in Calayan, Cagayan, while intensity 4 was recorded in Lacub, Abra, and several areas in Ilocos Norte and Cagayan. Intensity 3 was reported in Licuan, Baay, Abra, and parts of Ilocos Norte, while intensity 2 was felt in Nueva Era, Ilocos Norte, Basco, Batanes, and parts of Isabela. Meanwhile, Delfin, Albano, Isabela felt intensity 1. Alamin naman natin ang mainit na balita sa mundo ng showbiz. Narito ang report ni Anthony Sarce.
Nanawagan ng social media personality na si Rendon Labrador sa sexy vlogger na si Tony Fowler na tigilan na ang pagpapakita ng pribadong parte ng katawan sa social media. Ayon kay Rendon, dapat daw ay magbago na ang content creator dahil nagbago na rin siya ngayon. Nagkomento ang motivational speaker sa sinabi ni Tony na handa siyang harapin ang mga kasong kriminal na isinampa sa kanya ng kapisanan ng social media broadcasters ng Pilipinas. Dagdag pa niya, wala na raw sanang kabastusan at wag na nitong ipakita ang kanyang mga masaselang bahagi ng katawan sa publiko. Hirit pa ni Rendon, akala raw kasi ni Tony ay gusto ito makita ng publiko, ngunit sa totoo lang ay hindi naman daw talaga. Pahabol pa niya, love na para sa Pilipinas na may mga hashtag na #motivated at #pray4Tony. Hinikayat pa nito ang vlogger na mag-issue rin ng public apology sa lahat ng mga na-offend sa kanyang sexy videos. Matatanda ang noong September 27, kinasuhan ng kapisanan ng social media broadcasters ng Pilipinas si Tony dahil sa umano'y mga malalaswang content sa kanyang YouTube channel. Say ni Tony, handa siyang lumaban ng patas at nangakong haharapin ang mga criminal case na isinampa laban sa kanya. Ako po si Therese Arceo at yan ang Bandera Chika for today.
Here's the latest roundup of today's top stories. Philippine Coast Guard says oil tanker registered in Marshall Islands allegedly rammed a Filipino fishing boat, killing 3 fishermen. President Bongbong Marcos lifts price cap on rice. And Yumir Marshall qualifies for Paris Olympics and Asian Games boxing final. And these are the stories you need to know today. I'm Neil Mercado. Follow INQUIRER.net on Facebook, X, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Reddit. For more stories, visit INQUIRER.net. Good evening.